Hello everyone, welcome back for the fourth video tutorial. For this video, we are going to introduce the concept of what we call mutations. Okay, in the previous video, I'll show you how to change the value of the data. Okay, now we are going to make the modification changing value of the data through the use of mutations. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. We are going to make the comment for this. Okay, and we're gonna go back to our store object here that I call card, and now we are going to put mutation. Now if you look at the documentation, they say that this is a section that you can implement many actions. So over here, let me go back right here to my code, and let's go to card.js. If you are using Playground now, you can go to your card.js and implement mutation here. So you can put mutations like this. Okay, put comma. Now since we are doing this for local development, so I'm going to put this on my local development sections, mutations. So we're gonna have another section called mutation with S. And imagine that I want to call it like do one action one. Okay. And I'm gonna have two actions, action two. Now for the first actions, what it does is it's going to increment the value of this by 1. So for each action, you can work with the stage. Okay, you cannot simply use the keyword this.stage. This is not possible. But for this function, it get export to the input. So you can simply take state as the input. So take this as well. And now you can say, hey stage, I would like to access to data 1. And could you please increment it? Same thing over here. So we're gonna have to say stage.data1 decremented the value by 1 like this. Okay, one more time. So we start up by putting mutations, and then we implement two functions called do1 and function do2. And the good thing about mutation section is you don't have to worry about accessing this variable using this, because it takes this as the input for you already for the stage. Now what we need is just work with the stage and access to the variable data1, and we say plus plus and stage data1 minus minus, so increment and decrement basically. Now we are going to make use of these two functions. Okay, so let's go back to hello world here. And now you might wonder, how do we call that function? Is it possible to do it like this dot store? And you might guess, okay, for the stage you access the value directly. But when we have functions, is it like mutations and then do one and just like this? Okay, see if this is working. Now I'm going to save for this, and let's take a look at this, and it's going to does nothing. Okay, so that means this is not working. Unlike the stage, you can have access to the data directly using this statement here. Now, but for mutation, we use the different way. So instead of this, we say, hey, I want to commit. And now I want to commit by calling function do1 like this. Okay, let's save it. Okay, let me save it and make sure that I call the right functions. Oh, okay, it's going to restart it. All right. As you can see now, it's increment the value. So in order to work with the function in the store, okay, you can implement any function just like in method section, but we put it in mutation sections. And this function, what it does is take stage, and you can have access to the data here in the central locations, and then do whatever you want, like increment it or decrement it. Now in order to call do one function here, So we call it through the use of this $store.commit and then put the name of that function that you want to call. By this, we say, hey, go ahead and call this function for me, please. Okay, we do the same thing for decrement here. So I'm going to have this $store.commit and we're gonna call do2 like this. Save it, and hopefully this is going to go up and this one is going to go down, as you can see, like this. Okay, again, let's just make a quick review. In the card component here, we add the sections that we call mutations. This mutation is like an object section that you can implement multiple functions. Okay, the function that can be called, and you can make changes to the variable in your central locations. In order to call these two functions from anywhere in your applications, we say this $store.commit and then take the name of your function that you want to call. This is how it works. Well, one more thing. Imagine that now, whenever I click over here, I don't want to increment by 1, but I want to increment by the value that user defined. For example, is it possible to increment, take do1, call and take, let's say, 5, and 5 will be incremented. So, for example, at the beginning, if the value is number 1, when I click over this button, it's going to take 5 and add it to the original value and it's become 6. Okay, how this is happen? Well, to make this happen, you go to your store component here, and then for do1, you can see that initially it's going to take one input always. Okay, take one input as the stage. Now the subsequent input is your parameter here. Okay, so let me call it value, and now what you could do is you can say plus equal to the value, and what it does is, look at this. I say, hey, go ahead and call this do1 for me and take 5 as the input. So the system will look at the store, look at mutation, and look at the function called do1, and then assign the value of 5 to this. Okay, and then you can modify the contents of data1 by using these statements. So now let me show you here. As you can see now, it's increment by 5. We do the same thing for decrement to see if this is possible. So let's put 2 decrement by 2. So come back here, take this. You can see that you don't need to worry about the name as the value. You can name anything. So I'm going to call it as like parameter. And now we are going to decrement this one by the value of parameters. Oh, sorry, this is going to be minus equal. Alright, so this is just to show you that, this name doesn't need to be value. It could be any names. Okay, the only thing that is matter is this one is the second input parameter here, aside from the name of the action itself, the name of the function itself. Okay, and now if I decrement it, as you can see, it decrement by 2 like this. Okay, so for these video tutorials, I show you how to work with mutation and take the input parameters as well, so that you can commit changes. All right, thank you for watching.